Hey guys, Michael here. You're watching another episode of Star Wars News and Views, and today is just going to be a quick update about something that has only been out for a couple of days now. So, a few days ago, Entertainment Weekly's released their new cover story, and it's all about The Last Jedi, with exclusive interviews with the cast and crew, and a few exclusive new photos as well. But the highlight article is one that lays out in more explicit terms than we've seen before this sort of story arc of Kylo Ren and Rey and Luke Skywalker. And these might be maybe considered a little bit of some spoilers here, some minor spoilers, if you want to go into the film, sort of not knowing how things are going to go. And that is that Luke is essentially going to reject Rey as a student ultimately, and sort of push her away out of fear that she's too powerful, and that as a result of that, Rey's going to feel sort of lost and may be pushed towards Kylo Ren. And that just as she may be pulled towards him, he may be pulled towards her. And we've seen the trailers as well sort of hinting at that. And, a lot of it could be that people are speculating that it's sort of misdirection on the part of the editing. And in fact, even the title of the Entertainment Weekly article is basically, will they team up, will Rey go to the dark side, etc. These exact type of things. But I guess first thing, getting back to Luke rejecting Rey. So we know that when Rey brings Luke the lightsaber, he reluctantly, at least, agrees to train her, because we see him training her and Rey practicing with the lightsaber and him kind of overseeing it. But in the Entertainment Weekly article, it says, when Luke Skywalker displays fear towards her and rejects her rather than embracing her as a student, Rey feels cast out. After all, Luke banished himself rather than help the Resistance, and has now decided that the order he devoted his life to must end. The Last Jedi will find her adrift. The article goes on further, when Rey feels rejected by Luke Skywalker, who also sees parallels between the power in her and the abilities of his estranged nephew, the old Jedi Master inadvertently pushes the two towards each other. And it goes on to say that she finds help in an unexpected place, and that, this is quoting now again, it says that unexpected place is Kylo Ren. So it's saying that, Luke agrees to train her, but then ultimately changes his mind. And he says, I've seen this power once before. It didn't scare me then, but it scares me now. And so ultimately he's going to say, I'm sorry, this was a bad idea. And she's going to be drawn towards Kylo Ren. And even though there is probably some editing trickery going on with that shot of him extending his hand to her, I do think that is actually part of the movie, where it's not editing trickery so much that he is offering his hand to her. And it makes me wonder, are they going to get Kylo Ren and Rey to team up? Because Rian Johnson is quoted in the Entertainment Weekly article as well. He says, there's a big part of the story yet to be written, and not by me. So he's talking about episode 9. But he goes on to say, but I don't think it's very interesting if the whole story is just, will Kylo get his comeuppance? He's a more complicated character than that, and I think he deserves a more complicated story than that. I don't see the point of trying to get behind his mask and learn more about him if all we're going to learn is, yeah, he's just an evil bad guy that needs to be killed. And the article goes on to say, the young man's shaky resolve means that he could also be swayed back to the light. Rey and Kylo Ren are reaching toward each other in combat, but each one could also end up pulling the other to his or her side. So it really is hinting, when Rey goes towards Kylo Ren, it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be, will Kylo Ren turn back to the light side? And I think it seems like Rian Johnson is hinting at that you may get something along those lines by the time you get to episode 9. I don't know if it'll be as much of a sort of poignant redemption the way Darth Vader had, and I think that also would be repeating the original trilogy arc just a bit too much, but it's going to be more complicated than him just turning back to the light side and being redeemed like Vader. And so the final thing to mention is that in the new stills that they've released, one of them is Rey, and it looks like she's standing in front of Supreme Leader Snoke in that sort of, for lack of a better term, throne room. You can see these patterns on the side here. Those are the same patterns that are on the side of the throne room in a previous commercial. So this is probably that scene we see from the commercial in the trailer of Snoke kind of like torturing her, saying, "Fulfill your destiny." And Kylo Ren is standing behind there, so he's present for all this, and he's just kind of like sort of hanging out there. You know, it kind of reminds me of Luke and Vader with the Emperor, and he has the same line, "Fulfill your destiny and take your father's place at my side." So Snoke has 8 of these Praetorian guards in his throne room, and they're armed in melee combat. And there's behind-the-scenes photos of Rey taking on multiple opponents in melee combat with a lightsaber. More importantly, there's behind-the-scenes footage of Kylo Ren, Adam Driver, doing the same. So I wonder what goes on in that throne room. And so I wonder if we're going to get not only parallels between Empire Strikes Back, but parallels between Return of the Jedi as well. So it's interesting to see these things sort of laid out in more explicit terms. I know fans have speculated about this before, about that this was the way things are going to go, but there was always kind of a doubt. Like, well, I think this is where it might go. I feel like this is good speculation. It seems like this is a possibility. But now we know, I mean, this is kind of spoilerish that they're saying, yeah, that's kind of how it goes. Not necessarily how the film ends, but sort of going into Act 3, this is kind of what you're looking at. But anyway, interesting stuff. I know I've gone on a long time about this, so leave us your feedback, what you thought about this. If you haven't checked out our last video, do check that out. Me and Patrick are going to be doing a video podcast kind of thing on a semi-regular basis from now on, just because we're not in the same location. So anyway, you can check that out, and we'll catch you all next time.